This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Hey guys, welcome to the WWE Podcast. It's time for the weekend review. Amanda from the UK is going to be joining me in just a minute, but first, I want to thank everybody for joining us here and give you an opportunity, if you're interested, to join us ad-free as WrestleMania season goes on. And in just a few days, okay, we will be increasing the prices on Apple Podcasts. And if you want to lock in your price of $2.99 a month for ad-free everything, no matter how many times the price increases over time, you will forever be $2.99 a month. Okay, now's the time to do it, which is over at Apple Podcasts. But if you want to be on Patreon, that can still get you in the door for just $1 a month. Everything goes ad-free. Or if you go up in tier, you get exclusive shows and an opportunity to come on the show if you want to as well. So that said, I would like to welcome a brand new patron to the show, and it's Loops Valdez. So Loops, welcome to us. And welcome to the show, and also welcome to the family. Enjoy the NXT Plus level, which gets you access to the After Dark show every other week here on the WWE Podcast. So enjoy that. Anthony DeMarco, and sometimes myself and others step in. It's the adult version of the show that is usually about wrestling. Sometimes it's not, but that is an exclusive perk of the NXT Plus side of things, and it also gets you a Discord server. Every level gets you a Discord server. If you are on Patreon and you don't have the link to the Discord server, message me directly on Patreon. I will send you the link. Sometimes the link goes bad or whatever. I'll send you the link. Just shoot me a message, okay? I know that's a common problem over at Patreon, but if you're interested, guys, great time to do it over at Patreon. And like I said, lock in your price now, because if you don't, on Apple anyway, things will increase, and then I can't help you. So this is your chance, guys. If you're interested, of course, you don't have to, you can listen to me for free forever if you want to, but your call. So, all right, that's going to do it for me for this introduction part of the show. I'm going to get to Amanda and myself from the UK. And then tomorrow, Anthony is going to be joining me for the current state of WWE that I know you guys love as well. So that's going to start our week as we get closer and closer and closer to WrestleMania. That will be here in just a few short weeks. WrestleMania 40 in just a few short weeks. We're less than a month now. Less than a month from WrestleMania 40. So here we go. Thank you guys and enjoy the show. Welcome everybody to the Weekend Review. It is Sunday, March 10th, 2024. We've got Amanda back with us as we are getting closer and closer to WrestleMania 40, just a few weeks away now. So joining us all the way across the pond, as they say, Amanda from the UK is back with us. So Amanda, how are you doing? And are you getting excited for WrestleMania? Can you feel it coming?
Hi, Matt. Thanks for having me back. Yeah, I am really excited, actually. And recent events with the Bloodline and Cody and everything is really exciting. And I'm pleased the way things are developing. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. I'm getting close to the point of I'm ready for the matches already. I'm ready to just see who wins, who loses. Some of the matches we don't even know yet. Like Gunther still doesn't have an opponent. I mean, which is kind of crazy that Gunther, the guy who has been one of the faces of the company, took the Intercontinental Championship to new heights, still does not have a defined opponent. Of course, we will find that out this Monday, but a new wrinkle has been added to a potential Gunther opponent that we all thought originally was going to happen, and that's Brock Lesnar. The only reason I bring him up, guys, is if you haven't heard that Brock Lesnar has been added back to WWE's roster on their website. Now, that doesn't mean that he's back on TV soon. It doesn't mean that he's going to be in a match with Gunther, but it at least creates the possibility again that we could see Brock Lesnar in time for WrestleMania, if not in an official match, maybe interference, maybe as a quick one-off, whatever. But Brock Lesnar seems to be back, and that would insinuate, although we don't know, that he might have been cleared of potential charges or a wrongdoing with the Vince McMahon sex scandals. So, Amanda, again, there's just an assumption, but the fact is he's back on the roster, on the site. Amanda, what are your thoughts on this news that has broke over the last 24 hours?
I'm pleased because I like Brock as a character, and obviously, innocent until proven guilty, and so that's, if the assumption is correct and he's back and ready to go, then that's fantastic. I guess never say never with WWE, but I guess it's too late to run with whatever they potentially had planned originally. But like you say, an appearance at WrestleMania seems much more likely if he's back on the roster, and maybe some kind of interference to bring him back round to Gunther at some point would be good. But yeah, I think it's assuming he's been cleared and all that has gone away for him, then good news.
It really is. And I know that some people out there, unfortunately, have labeled Brock forever as tied to this, but the fact is that he is a big name that will draw money, that will get eyeballs on the product. And that even if you don't like Brock for whatever reason, or still think he's guilty no matter what, the fact is that you'll still watch. And if Brock Lesnar is on WrestleMania 40, you're still going to be interested in seeing what he's doing. And I think that's really the most important thing here. Of course, number one is he actually innocent or guilty? And if WWE put him on their website, the thing is they are very conscious of their PR now. They are a publicly traded organization managed by TKO. The McMahons are no longer there to cover anyone's ass. So the idea that they would cover for Brock makes no sense at all. So I would believe that there's overwhelming evidence, if they took him back and put him back on the roster, that he's been cleared. And if that's true, then wonderful. Like you said, that I think that's good news too. If he's been cleared, awesome. Bring him back. Let's go. But at this point in the game, it's probably a little too late to put him in an official match with Gunther. I'm all for it, but I was kind of looking forward to, and I don't know what your thoughts are on, this triple or this match coming up on Monday to determine who's going to face Gunther for the IC title. Were you leaning towards Chad Gable? I mean, I kind of was, given how the quality of their matches the last few times, which was exceptional. I can't imagine what they would do at WrestleMania. So Brock Lesnar absolutely is much higher in star power, but the pure wrestling match with Gunther and with Chad Gable, I was kind of looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think out of the options, I think Chad Gable makes the most sense. It would be really nice for him to get a title, and even if he's quite a, even if it's quite a short reign, and then somehow Brock comes around, afterwards. I'm not sure how they would do it, because Brock and Gunther is an exciting sounding match. Mm-hmm. So maybe he doesn't drop it at WrestleMania. Maybe he keeps it, and then sometime down the line they rerun the Brock story that they were going to have for WrestleMania, maybe. But yeah, I like Chad for it before Brock, probably.
I agree. The one, again, star power wise, I mean, he blows Chad out of the water. It's not even like WrestleMania worthy. Absolutely. I'm with you on if I had to choose, I would choose Brock versus Gunther just for the star power. We've never seen it before. We were looking forward to it before it was even announced. And then obviously the news broke and Brock got taken out of the Rumble. We know the rest. But I mean, the idea, though, that Brock would beat Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship is less likely than Chad Gable beating Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. So that's one thing Gunther has, or Chad Gable has going for him, is, well, he has a much better chance of actually dethroning Gunther than I think Brock does, just because Brock has no interest, nor would WWE really benefit from Brock winning the Intercontinental Championship. We'd have another absentee champion. We don't need that. So absolutely. I mean, to me, it's, yes, star power works. I'd still pull the trigger, but I mean, Chad Gable, I mean, I think he'd be a favorite to win that match actually versus Gunther, because Gunther has done everything you can do with it. And it's time, I think, to move Gunther up, even though he'd lose the match. And, Chad Gable winning the Intercontinental Championship is absolutely respectable. And I think he did a great job with it. But any final thoughts on this scenario going on?
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you just said, and I think you're right. It's definitely time for Gunther to move up the card. He's done such a great job with that belt. So one way or the other, I think he needs to get rid of the belt so he can move on. But it will be really interesting now, like you say, another wrinkle for us to figure out on the way.
Yeah, no, and we're still guessing. A few weeks for WrestleMania, the card is still not full, so matches to be had, matches that we don't even know are going to happen yet. And hey, it's going to go quick. We've got 3 weeks. So, all right, But one other thing I want to ask you about, switching to the women's division, and we'll get to the bloodline stuff in a minute. But with the women's division, this past week on SmackDown, I thought that the sit-down interview with Bayley was really well done. She's coming off very relatable. I like this new Bayley babyface gimmick. That's really not a gimmick. It's almost just her being herself, which makes it more fun. And the turn by Dakota Kai on Bayley last week created even more sympathy for Bayley, who got duped again by Damage Control, and now she's outnumbered 4-1, and she's going to eventually have to have some help. Maybe Naomi will do that, but Bianca is not, as we saw. So maybe Naomi will help even the odds here. However, I don't know. The more important thing to me was the video package that was done and the sit-down interview that really made me care more about this match that I was hoping would happen, because coming into this, everything was so overshadowing. Bayley was the Royal Rumble winner for the women, and everything's being overshadowed with The Rock, Roman, Cody, Seth, and what's happening with Gunther, and what's happening, on the other with the other side of the women's division with Rhea Ripley and Becky. And Bayley's almost been forgotten, but I think this week they took that big step forward, in my mind anyway, of finally making this feel important and doing an effective promo and an effective video package. I don't know. How did you feel?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I said to you last time we spoke, it feels like they've completely forgotten about Bayley, and I was getting, more and more sort of uncomfortable because as we went along, and I was so relieved to see it on Friday night. Like you say, the video package followed by the interview was great. Was really good, and it again does more to sell her to the audience. I agree. Looks like maybe that's where Naomi's going to fit in. I did wonder if that's what they had thought that Sasha might do if she came back. So maybe Naomi's being switched into that role, a sort of more support role for Bayley, because she's going to need it, isn't she? That she's so outnumbered come Mania. But yeah, no, I'm really pleased, and she's really, really turned. The crowd really seem to be enjoying her character now. I think the Dakota turn, even though you could have, you knew it was coming, you could have seen it a mile off, but it was still. I sort of went, oh, it's a bit disappointing. I thought maybe she was a decent person, but no, she turned heel. And like double cross Bayley. So, but it was good, and it made it quite a fun story. And I like what they did with the Damage Control promo as well. They've used the Shinsuke technique of putting some subtitles up, which is cool, and it really works. Because we can all read, so it's perfectly fine for us to follow along like that, and then it gives Dakota a chance as well to develop her character rather than having to speak for the three others then plus herself as well. So yeah, it's really nice the way it's all panning out.
That's it. You're right. Whoever came up with that Shinsuke formula, it sounds like a genius move, but it's the most obvious move that I think somebody maybe brought up at one point, and they're like, nah, that'll look stupid. We shouldn't need subtitles. But it has turned out to be one of the most effective ways that when you have a foreign person come in that doesn't speak English clearly, or has a heavy accent, or just speaks almost no English, you have a solution now. And this works perfectly. It elevated Shinsuke to the next level. Look what happened to his career over the last 6 to 8 months. And then you have, on the other side, you have Iyo Sky, who I think has benefited greatly from this formula as well, and gives her a voice. You don't have to sift through her accent. It's plain as English right there for us to see. And it was effective for all of the women to speak, not just Dakota. Even Kairi Sane, who doesn't say much at all since her return several months ago, got a few lines in there. And I think this group has really become one that's unlikable, like at its core. You want to see Bayley take this group down. It's just going to be a numbers game. It's going to be a struggle, an uphill battle. Even if you have Naomi, you're still outnumbered 2-1, really, if it's 4-2. So they're going to have some additional help. And I think you're right. I think Sasha Banks was perfectly fit for that role. But given that the whole discussion fell through, and now she's going to be with AEW, unfortunately, she's not going to be there. But boy, would she be a perfect fit to fight side by side with Bayley against Damage Control. But that's not going to happen. However, this is really making you want to see Bayley dethrone Iyo Sky in the worst way. And I just can't see, I don't know if you can, at WrestleMania, is there any other way that this can go? Do you dare see a solution where Iyo Sky retains?
No, I don't, because her Io's title reign hasn't been amazing. It's been average. It's been okay. But I don't think there's any. There's no one screaming out for it to go on and on and on. And this is like, now is the perfect balance, good versus evil, isn't it? It's absolutely perfect. The Damage Control are horrible. Everyone hates them, and Bayley's the sort of lone person, or with Naomi. So no, I can't see it going any other way. I think what might be interesting is who else, maybe NXT call-up or someone unexpected from the roster who also comes out and bolsters with Naomi and Bayley. That might be quite interesting, but I only see Bayley winning this.
And it's kind of a shame that, Iyo Sky, who has had, I think, not a great run, and it's not on her, as we talked about. It's creative, who just essentially ignored her for 6 months as champion. We're getting the best version of Iyo at the end of her run. They're actually paying attention to her now. They're actually giving her a voice, giving her segments, having great video packages done, and it's right before she loses the belt. And it's too bad that they didn't do this kind of a little bit along the way. And I think it would have been more interesting, but it's working. And this week was, to me, that was one of the big takeaways from SmackDown is, wow, okay, I'm coming away from the show much more excited about this program than I went going in, and they're actually paying attention to it. It feels like a focal point, and it should, because again, she's the Royal Rumble winner, and we all just kind of, oh, that's cool, but oh my God, what about Punk? What about Drew? What about Orton? What about all? And I just kind of felt bad for Bayley, who got really lost in the mix, and they took a good step forward this week. So, all right, well, I want to move on because there's so much to talk about. With continuing on the women's side of things, how are you enjoying Tiffany Stratton? She beat Michin this week, and boy, I mean, the crowd, while they try to turn her heel and have the crowd boo her, Tiffy time is getting over in a big way. Are you enjoying Tiffany Stratton?
Yeah, I am loving her. She's awesome. And I don't know if you saw the clips that they put out on Twitter of the coverage of her in the pod, getting really excited in Elimination Chamber when the crowd started chanting Tiffy time, and she broke character and stuff, which was really cool to see, her getting really hyped by her own sort of overness. But yeah, no, I'm loving her. And that moonsault that she does, wow. It really is beautiful, if you can say
incredible.
Such a thing.
Mm-hmm. It is. No, it is. It's a perfect finish. I'm loving, really, she just, one of the big things that I look for when a talent comes, quote unquote, up from NXT is, do they feel like they belong, or do they feel like they're still in training? Do they feel like they're still kind of in the minor leagues, putting their foot in the deep end? Tiffany Stratton just immediately felt like she belonged, and that's the quality that I look for. Kevin Owens felt that way when he came up from NXT. And I think Tiffany Stratton also feels that way, and the fans are gravitating to her very quickly. I know they're trying to bill her as a heel, but she's not getting booed, and it's because the fans see her as authentic. She does have kind of a fresh vibe to her. Tiffy time is a fun thing to say. She has the body of a goddess, but more importantly, she looks like an athlete, and she has a unique look. She's very smooth in the ring. We haven't heard a ton from her on the mic yet, but I think that'll change. And she's just over. And there's really sky's the limit from here. So it's going to be interesting to see if they continue to book her as a babyface, or continue to book her as a heel, or just stop fighting the tide and go with the babyface road. We'll have to see. But I'm enjoying it now. As far as Naomi goes, Naomi and Bianca, they had a little discussion backstage. Bianca not so interested in helping Bayley, but Naomi is. But Naomi, I don't know how you feel about this. Do you feel like Naomi, since her return, other than her return at the Rumble, I feel like she's directionless. Other than that, other than maybe helping Bayley, like I'm just a little disappointed in how they've treated Naomi since she's returned. I've expected more from a big return like Naomi's.
Yeah, I was literally, as soon as you started talking there, I literally thought completely directionless. Like, yeah, the pop she got when she came back and all that was amazing, beautiful. and then since then, nothing really. And hopefully they're gonna, funnel her towards this Bayley program to help there, and I think that will really help Naomi because she can get the rub off Bayley, and she is good in the ring. She's got good skills. So if that sort of goes down the line and we end up with tag team matches or whatever as we sort of go through the year, then that'll be great. But no, she's done nothing, and it's not her fault. It's what's been written for her. She's not been really given anything, which is disappointing.
And at least if they had already locked in the women's plans for WrestleMania, which they had, and she came along and she signed, and I know they're not going to blow up everything because Naomi's back. I get that. But the bare minimum I think they could have done is explain why she, or not explain why she left, but maybe why she came back, right? Give us like some in-depth interviews with her, just a few minutes of sit down like they did with Bayley. Give us some reason to care about Naomi's character other than, wow, she's back, cool. And then we forget about her 2 seconds later. I think even if you're not going to inject her into a storyline, just build the character and setting the table for when she does get into a program, probably post-Mania, and give us that reason. And they've done no character development. Okay, they changed the song, so what? I think that they need to just give us a few minutes of Naomi speaking every week. I know that she's not an A++ promo. I get that. But she can still speak like a human being, and give us a reason why she's back, what her mission is. Why is she back? Give us her mission statement, something. And I think that they could be doing that just behind the scenes every week. And they really haven't even given her any mic time, almost at all. So that's been a bit disappointing.
There's enough women on the roster as well that I agree. You can't slot her into WrestleMania plans just like that. But you can have stories, can't you, outside of titles, outside of WrestleMania. She could have gone into they could have developed a program outside of those, for her, because there's so much talent. Not every one of those women is going to get anywhere near WrestleMania. So, there was options, but there.
I know. No, I get it, and perhaps they're just pushing her to the side like other women. She's not being singled out. I'm just singling her out because she's a big return that has done nothing essentially since she came back, which is, you have this big jolt of momentum and then you just go, we're going to shut it down right here. And it's just, it's jarring. So it just felt a little weird. And again, a lot of other women are experiencing that too, but perhaps she's just one of the women that post-Mania, after they've already executed their matches and have the outcomes done, then she'll get involved in a more significant storyline when everything's reset, and then you can go off and do what you need to do for the next WrestleMania season. So that's what I'm looking forward to, really, is, okay, I get it. She's not going to have probably a big moment at WrestleMania here, but they're going to do something after WrestleMania with Naomi, and that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. Now, completing the women's circle here on Raw with Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley. How are you enjoying their build thus far heading into WrestleMania? I know we have a bit of a Liv Morgan detour this coming Monday. Liv Morgan has, I think, gotten a little bit momentum. I'm not the biggest Liv Morgan fan in the world, but she has shown a kind of an edge to her character, getting in a bit of a tussle with Becky Lynch. So they're going to have a match on Monday. And Rhea Ripley is just kind of giggling at the whole thing. And Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley have yet to brawl or anything like that. But what are your thoughts so far on this kind of, and Nia Jax injecting herself too? Yeah. How do you feel about this whole women's division on the Raw side?
Well, I'm a huge Becky fan. I like her character, but sort of broadly speaking, I've been really I don't think there has been any build really between Rhea and Becky. Just, they've passed in a corridor a couple of times and nothing much has really happened. I am not as excited as I thought I would be. Thought I wanted Mammy versus the Man. Like, I really thought I did. And now I think maybe I didn't, because I'm really not that excited, because I don't know. Like, if you think it through to its conclusion, do you want Becky to win and get another title run? I'm not really bothered. I'd think I'd rather have Rhea continue, because she's so dominant and so great. So, yeah, no, I've been underwhelmed, I guess. And I don't know what they could do, because Becky's not showing anything new to her character apart from the hat, which, whatever. Yeah.
And that's been my thing is, and look, I like Becky Lynch. I respect Becky Lynch, but there's just no denying that her character has stopped evolving. I mean, take just the physical part out of it. I mean, I don't care if she wears, a clown outfit to the ring. I don't care if she wears a new hat. I don't care if she wears new socks. I don't care if she wears just aluminum foil to the ring. To me, it's not about that. It's about the substance of her character that she's essentially leaning on from 2018 or 2018 when she main evented with Ronda Rousey, and 2019 with Ronda Rousey and Becky and Charlotte. So that's when she was on fire. Her character was new. The fans were behind her. And now it's like she's leaning on a character that doesn't have that momentum anymore. And you take that character and this one, you put them side by side, and there's not a lot of differences. There's really not. And it just feels like kind of a stale character that needs a jolt. I've said this for weeks, and that's why the crowd support is much more leaning Rhea's way. She's the shiny new toy, but also she's legit. She looks different. She feels different. She talks different. She wrestles different. And Becky Lynch is kind of this not has been, but kind of a character that was on fire that the fans enjoyed and still do enjoy, but are ready to move on to something different. And it just kind of doesn't feel like the fans are dying for Becky Lynch to have another title run. I just don't have that sense. I don't know how you feel generally about what the fans feel too, but I don't think they want it.
I don't think anyone's. I don't think, no one's going to riot if Becky wins. Like, people aren't against it, but I don't think anyone is clamouring for it. And I think, generally speaking, most people would rather Rhea carry on her run. And let's just see, because there are some other really interesting people on the roster who possibly deserve an opportunity. I don't necessarily think Bianca, but there's a lot of other people, to give an opportunity to. So yeah, it feels a bit meh, to be honest, at the moment. That's my feeling on it.
No, it is, and I hate to say that because they're two big names. You would think we'd be more excited, and they're trying. It's not that they're not trying. Becky Lynch is trying. She's trying to cut interesting promos. And the thing is, when I can sense that you're trying, it almost makes it worse. Like, it's weird. I feel like I wanted to feel like you're not trying, or that something spontaneous happens. Like, I can see the struggle of Becky. I can see her acknowledging that, oh, yeah, I know why the fans like mommy. And like, she's acknowledging that the fans kind of support Rhea, and that fans also, are split. But it's almost, I don't know. Like, it's a weird feeling. Again, I don't think, you're right. I don't think the fans are going to lose their minds if Becky wins. But also, I don't think they're going to wildly cheer if she does either. I think they're going to be like, oh, okay, well, here comes another Becky title run. I also don't think objectively it's the right move. Like, Rhea Ripley feels like she's just getting going with her run. Even though she won it almost a year ago, they didn't really pay attention to that belt for several months. Her title defenses were against opponents that were laughable in terms of believing that they could take down Rhea. And then they finally, around SummerSlam, decided to get serious with her opponents. So it feels like she almost just won it in a way, because they just started to really hone in on her opponents and paying attention. So with Becky, it's like, okay, yeah, she's a serious opponent on paper, but Becky Lynch's character over the last year, especially with the Trish Stratus stuff that went on way too long, and her weird promos in NXT, and then she disappeared for a while. And it's nothing wrong with that. She just kind of had a down year. So her momentum is down. Her character feels a little stale. The fans aren't dying for Becky Lynch to be champion again. And then you got this hot Rhea Ripley, who essentially has almost turned the entire group of Judgment Day babyface because they love Rhea so much. It's just a weird dynamic right now.
It is. And yeah, I think it feels like Rhea's just finding her place as well, in the division and as a whole within the WWE. I was really interested for your comments the other day about Rhea and behind every great woman.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
whatever she said. I can't remember it now, so my brain's gone foggy. But behind every great man, there's a great woman. She said that,
Yeah.
didn't she? And at first I thought, oh, Matt, why are you saying that? And then I thought, hang on a second.
Like, go ahead. Yeah.
I thought, hang on a second, have a think about this. And if that was reversed and Dominic had stood up and said, behind every great woman is a great man, we'd all be and I talk about me as like, not a semi-feminist, like, oh, right. How dare he? And I think she's been saying a bit slightly weird stuff, like, about she wants to fight, and she would be happy to fight for the men's belts and the great woman, great man, blah blah blah, all that stuff. I think it's because she's struggling for her place, and it's a lot of so that's a very outdated statement. We don't really hear things like that anymore, because like 20 years ago things were a struggle, and it was male focused, but we're not there anymore. The struggle these days is different. So I think it's just it's an outdated comment that she's made, and it's probably come from a place of she's trying to, elevate and, equality and all that stuff. But I think it was a bit misguided on her part, and I think we would have been absolutely outraged if Dominic had said the same thing, but the other way around, we all would have been kicking off and going mad. So actually, I think you're right. After I had a little word with myself.
Again, I knew that a lot of people would say, "Whoa, I can hear it. What a misogynist!" I can hear all the nonsense, but like, you can't tell me that if anybody, Dominic, anyone stood there, if I don't know, if Cody Rhodes, who's the beloved babyface, stood out there and he said to Rhea Ripley, you know what I learned this week? Behind every great woman is a greater man. I mean, imagine what would happen. It would be, people would just, seriously, the internet would shut down. Yeah, it would be insane. So like, it was only because, that is kind of an outdated statement. And also like, I know what it's supposed to imply, but like, so that means that I guess men can't be great without having an even greater woman behind them. And also like, to me, I'm all about equality, but does that mean like if I have a wife who's great, that means I have to be greater? Like, it just gets weird. I know I'm making a mountain out of a molehill, but she's getting into this. The problem generally, the whole problem with Rhea is just, she's kind of crossing into men's territory where she doesn't belong. Why? Because she's a woman. End of subject. She can be a dominant woman in the women's division. And guess what? This isn't the Attitude Era anymore. This isn't the Ruthless Aggression era anymore. There are muscular women that are just as, if not stronger than her. So there's not a lack of competition. It's not as if, she's China, which she has idolized. She idolized China, and I understand why. But, this isn't China back in 1999 when she was, an outlier, where she was obviously the strongest woman in the roster, in a roster that had very few actual women wrestlers. This is a extremely deep roster compared to that. You talk about, what about Jade Cargill has yet to appear? We haven't seen Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley yet. Tiffany Stratton has a pretty damn impressive physique. The roster is deep, and so like, no, you don't need to go into the men's division. You're a woman, so that's kind of the end of the subject. I just don't. Again, I just feel like once you start crossing those boundaries, man, things get really messy real quick, and I just don't want that. That's my only concern.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I just think she's maybe sort of struggling for her place, and where she fits in, and traditionally that's what we would have done, isn't it? And if China hadn't have done that, and if people down the line hadn't made different decisions to do things, we would never have got away from the divas, and we wouldn't have what we've got now. But we've moved on, and times have changed, and that's not where we are now. But you certainly gave me something to think about. When I was walking the dog, I suddenly thought, actually, no, do you know what? I
know. Hey, I get it. I knew that by saying it, but I was trying to be very clear. Like, the problem is I'm a guy, right? So when women hear me say this, it's coming from the patriarchy. It's coming from a misogynistic standpoint. Like, I understand we're all in the identity politics world. I get it. I understand what world we live in, but if you just remove that whole filter for a minute and look at this objectively as a human being, okay, no, she's a woman, which means she cannot compete with the men. Get that out of here. And also, if we're all about equality, well, okay, what if I said the exact opposite and switched the words men and women? Yeah. All of a sudden, the whole thing changes. Well, that's me. Well, wait a minute. You said it, So it's just one of those things that, borders on, today's culture and politics. So I'm trying to stay away, but it's being brought into it. So I'm just responding to the things that are being brought into wrestling. And then, hey, anyway, let's move on. Yeah. We've got a whole lot more here to talk about. How do you like the build so far for Randy Orton and for Logan Paul? This week, Logan Paul comes out. He announces that Prime is going to be the sponsor, or he's going to be the sponsor for every WWE PLE, which means he's going to get the imprint or the logo in the middle of the ring for every PLE going forward, including WrestleMania 40. First, before we move forward, how do you feel about that we're going to see the Prime logo in the middle of the ring for every PLE from here on until I don't know when. I don't know how long their agreement is.
Is it definitely? Is it real, or was it a work?
Yes.
Oh, okay, Jesus. Okay.
I think it's real.
It's a really ugly logo. I'd rather, it's just a bottle. I'd rather, if they had to have it, I'd rather it just said, Prime or whatever. But I guess it's money and that will improve stuff, I guess. But yeah, it's ugly.
It's not a great logo, but here, and people are also making, oh my God, this is going to be terrible. It's going to be so distracting. But like this kind of thing has been going on in the UFC for how long? I mean, like MMA has this in the octagon. I mean, other sports have it too, boxing. I mean, so like this isn't something new. It's just new to pro wrestling. So I think people also look at this as like the sanctity of the ring and, oh my God, it's going to be ads everywhere. I think at first it'll be distracting and annoying, but as it moves on, I think it'll be just something that's there that we understand is there. So it's at first it'll be annoying, I think, for some people, but we're just gonna have to live with it. I don't have much more to say about it other than Logan Paul is making millions upon millions of dollars off of this, I'm sure. And so is WWE. I think it's going to be a great partnership, but outside of that, with Randy Orton and Logan Paul, I mean, we got Logan Paul's friend KSI, who I have heard of, and he comes out, and Randy Orton then sneaks out from under the ring and tries to RKO Logan Paul, ends up hitting an RKO on KSI. How are you enjoying the build overall for Randy Orton eventually taking on Logan Paul at WrestleMania that we all assume?
Yeah, no, I like it. I'm pleased that looks. I may be wrong, but I don't think it's confirmed yet. But I would be happy if that was a confirmed match. I think it'll be good. I liked that Randy was managed to RKO KSI. He's English, so I know him more than Logan Paul. He's on the TV quite a lot over here, doing bits and bobs, so I recognised him, so that was good. I liked what he did with the logo and tipping it all over him. That was fun. I liked it, and I liked what he did with the brass knuckles later on after they'd had their match as well. That was also quite fun, putting him down his pants. But yeah, I think it should be interesting. I don't know what will happen. I'm not sure if Randy will win or not. I guess he should. I'm not sure though.
It's a tough one because Randy Orton is on TV almost every week. He's not part-time. He probably doesn't do a whole lot of house shows, but I wouldn't at his age. I mean, I would conserve the mileage on his body as much as possible. So there's more of a case for him to win than if, say, Brock took on Gunther to win the Intercontinental Championship. So I think he has a legitimate shot to beat Logan Paul. And him as U.S. champion, I have nobody I think would have a problem with that. But there's also the idea, well, it's Logan Paul. He does have incredibly good matches. He is doing really well with the U.S. title. He's really coming into his own, understanding his character. He feels confident on the microphone, all these things. So there's also a strong case to be made for him to retain at WrestleMania. I mean, that one is really hard to decide. if you're going to put money on it, I would stay away from that match. That is a really tough match. I think it's a 50-50 down the middle as to who would come out of there as champion, because there's a strong case both ways. And you know, you have a rising star that you don't want to lose really at WrestleMania. That's a good place for him to make a name, but also Randy Orton is back. And don't you want to make a statement with him and an RKO, a feel good moment? I mean, boy, really tough to decide on that one.
Yeah. I wonder if there'll be some kind of shenanigans, you know, maybe a third person so it ends in a DQ maybe, and goes off down a different route. So sort of almost nobody has to lose. Maybe, but
yeah, I mean, they could go that road. I mean, the thing is, it's WrestleMania 40, so I'm thinking they're going to do some kind of. They have to do a definitive finish, I would think, at WrestleMania 40, where there's not this. If they do a DQ finish at WrestleMania, I mean, at WrestleMania 40, I wonder, you know, is that almost kind of. I mean, you talk about trying to insinuate a riot. People come there for like finishes to programs, and you have a DQ finish at WrestleMania 40. Man, I mean, I don't think there's a better way to anger a crowd, because usually, I mean, that's where you go to finish things, go to finish programs and end programs. But I mean, yeah, this is going to be an interesting program. However, given the fact that the brass knucks are involved and what they're going to do to each other, I could see this being a no disqualification, where, you know, anything goes and there has to be a finish. But all right, let's move on. I have a question about Karrion Kross and Bobby Lashley. Do you care?
Not even slightly. Literally, I had to go back and read the match report just in case you asked me something about it, because literally could not care less.
Yeah, it's sad because Bobby Lashley, you know what? I don't know what his group, no one knows what the name of his group is. Still no name. But his group has kind of really fallen off the cliff of the importance mountain. And I don't know what the Street Profits are. They were babyface, then they went heel. Now they're back to babyface with Bobby. Obviously, Karrion Kross and the Final Testament comes in to beat down Bobby, and the Street Profits come out after AOP did. And, you know, the Street Profits got a nice reaction. Honestly, I looked at this. The only thing that I thought about during this was, can we get a Montez Ford singles run? And I feel like, you know, I've been asking for that for years now. It's just, when are we going to see that breakout from Montez Ford? Because, you know, Angelo Dawkins is easily the number 2 in that group. I want to see what a Montez Ford breakout star, like, what does his singles run look like? I think he could be, easily U.S. champion, if not more. But I don't know. That's what I took away from this, because obviously, yeah, no one really seems to care about Karrion Kross and Bobby Lashley. The program is cold at best. I don't know. Yeah. Well, have you ever thought about a Montez Ford break, like a singles run for him? Or
I have. You know, so when the Street Profits were just the Street Profits, I often thought sort of, you know, I wonder if they'll ever split or if they'll ever turn on each other and they'll, you know, have a singles run, or, you know. But yeah, I would love to see that. But I don't know why no one seems to care about this program with Karrion and Bobby, because Bobby's over. You know, people really like him, which, you know, he's good, but, you know, but Karrion just has nothing for me, you know, which is a shame, because, you know, he could have a good gimmick there. And obviously they've tried to bolster him with AOP and the little weird creepy guy, whose name I can't remember, but, you know, they've tried to make it a faction, but still, it's just like, yeah, just don't care.
Paul Ellering. Yeah.
Yes,
there's something there. The problem is consistency. They fall off the radar for a couple weeks at a time. And then we're supposed to care when they bring them back for a random match in week 3. And it's like, I don't know. There's just a lack of creative stability with that group. And with Karrion Kross, just generally, he's had a very inconsistent run from the different iterations he's had over the years. And there's just when you think he's going to get going, they just kind of make him, they just take him off TV for a while. He goes cold and the fans don't care anymore. And same with Bobby Lashley. He's kind of in that same boat. So you have two guys that are very inconsistent creatively put together in a match that we're supposed to care about, and you get a match that we don't. So, all right. let's continue here. We then get we got Angel Garza and Dragon Lee. Now this match, I have to say, I didn't care about it until they did a nice setup with Dragon Lee getting bullied backstage, being compared to Ray, and being kind of just shoved aside and made fun of. And Angel Garza, the whole group did a nice job just coming off as complete D-bag bullies, and I loved it. The match I thought was good. Dragon Lee beats Angel Garza in 7 minutes and 21 seconds. But after that, immediately following, they beat down Lee and they stood tall. But how did you feel about Dragon Lee and Angel Garza? No Rey Mysterio. He'll be back next week. How are you enjoying this really whole build, not just with Dragon Lee, but the LWO versus like Rey Mysterio, who's going to be back?
Yeah, no, I like it, and I'm glad to see Ray back. The other week before, wasn't it, when he was on his crutches? Yeah, liked the backstage segment. I thought that was nice, and they made a really good job of making them look like absolute horrors, being bullying the little kid in the playground, which was good. It was nice to see. Well, not nice to see, but it was a good build. And then like you say, the match. Never really been that interested in Angel in any of his sort of iterations he's been through. But I did enjoy the match very much. I thought it was a good match. And then obviously the ending. I enjoyed it, and I think it's a good program. I'm guessing they're winding up for something big between the two of them. Or I guess that one-on-ones or some kind of sort of multi tag match or mixed gender tag match or something, because they're both quite well off factions for people, aren't they? So there's plenty of options there. But it's quite an exciting program. I'm quite into it.
And the wrestling is going to be next level. I mean, the matches with these guys, I have no issue with. The only issue I had was last week, Rey Mysterio and his gray beard. I don't want to see it. Like, I know he's an older guy now. It just bothered me seeing his gray beard through the mask. I'm like, no, please shave it. Please shave it. You're still 25.
Yeah, it was good. So, I don't want to be aged like that.
No, I don't want to be reminded how old you are. Like, you shouldn't age. You should just be frozen in time. So that was the only kind of weird thing I saw last week. But yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun when Ray comes back next week to address things. And obviously, we'll have Ray and his group take on the LWO take on Legado del Fantasma. So it'll be fun. Now, let's get to the thing we haven't even addressed yet. We'll close the show with this. And of course, I'm sure there's things that you maybe I didn't address that you want to talk about. We'll get to that too. But I want to ask you, Rock, Roman, Cody, Seth, they closed the show. The Rock has a new entrance, kind of. He has lightning, which was kind of a really cool visual. I really have that was very nicely done with the lightning strikes on the LED board. Rock comes out and, just I've really enjoyed his heel character a lot. And Rollins and Seth were quick to follow. Rollins called Rock a walking midlife crisis, which is way better than Diarrhea Dwayne, I have to say. Way better. I know he's trying to make it a thing. It's not a thing. So I'll just kind of let you take the lead here on how did you like the segment? Obviously, they accepted the tag team match and the stipulations that come with it. But I'll let you have the floor on this.
Yeah, no, I love the segment. Love the tweak to his entrance. That would be so cool to be there. I think that would be a really good one to see live with all the lightning and stuff. That was really cool. So yeah, that's good. Diarrhea Dwayne, that's never going anywhere because it's too hard to spell anyway. So like that's never being a hashtag or being on a poster. So no, I liked the line about the midlife crisis. I thought that was hilarious. I really enjoyed it. I think sort of, to speak about the whole thing slightly more generally, I was really surprised when Rock acknowledged Roman the other week. I thought that was quite surprising, and I was kind of expecting someone to interrupt just before he had a chance to do it. But he did, so that's good. I still feel like Roman is quite uneasy with the alliance. It doesn't seem like he's completely sort of at ease or settled with the whole thing. I think the stipulation is just quite brilliant. I think the tag team match on night one is going to be phenomenal. I can't wait to see it. It's going to be brilliant. I'm kind of assuming that Cody and Seth are going to lose, so the Bloodline Rules happens, which I'm also really excited about because, I mean, you know, there's so many other people that they could bring into that. You know, you could have Nia somewhere in it. You could have, you know, I mean, literally, there's so many possibilities of things that could happen, and yeah, so I think that's really, really exciting. And although main event of both nights is maybe quite a lot of Bloodline and Roman, but hopefully it's a good means to an end, because it's going to be the end of Roman and the end of the Bloodline, I guess, after WrestleMania. I kind of disagreed a little bit with what you said, I think, the other night, when you said about Seth, the title should be the most important thing. I actually like the angle that he's going with, that actually some things are more important than the title, and he's making a big thing about we need to end the Bloodline, we need to end this, it's like end their reign of terror type of thing. And I really like that, because I think it builds Seth's personality and character even more, even though it doesn't need it because he's already like right up there. But I think it gives him more depth, as in, actually some things are more important than titles. So I like that. So yeah, I am loving this and I can't wait for it.
There's not a lot to complain about here. There really isn't. I mean, you have a Rock that, thank you, Cody fans, because we have a Rock that is much more exciting and interesting than if we got the standard issue of the Rock babyface character, which is still fun. But you know what insults you're going to get. You know what he looks like, how he talks, how he acts. This is a Rock that's unhinged. Talking last week about smoking crack, telling the people to go home and smoke crack last week was one of the funniest lines I've heard. Just he's insulting the crowd, and it's just much more entertaining than the standard issue Rock. Now, as far as Seth goes, though, I mean, I guess I'm only annoyed because of the fact that I feel like he should be focused on it, because that's where his brand is. That's where his home is, essentially. I mean, why should he care about what's going on SmackDown when he's living on Raw? However, I get what you're saying, though, that the Bloodline, being taken down the Bloodline, because at some point they're all going to have to deal with the Bloodline. And there's a draft that happens, sometimes every year, sometimes every 18 months, whenever they want to, really. But the idea, though, that Seth Rollins cares seemingly more about the Bloodline and taking down Roman and destroying the Bloodline and dethroning him, it does also seem to be actually just coming into the storyline naturally with Drew, because this week he just blew by Drew, just completely blew by him running out at the end of the show, and Drew just looked at him like, are you kidding me? And he comes out, claymores Seth right at the end of the show, as if you don't pay attention to me, this belt is going to be mine. So it's almost like they know that Seth isn't really paying attention. I mean, they do, because they're bringing it into the story. So I'm okay with it if they're actually bringing that part of my concern into the story, and they are. So from that perspective, I've kind of made peace with it. I mean, otherwise I'd be just like, you've told us it's the most important title, yet you're not even concerned about it. You're more worried about what's happening over here when you live here. But I'm cool with it because of the way they're playing it out. And with Drew, I mean, Drew is also, I mean, I have just loved everything he has done. And I think he is slated to win that belt. If he doesn't win at WrestleMania, I'll be shocked. I mean, it just doesn't make sense if he doesn't win. But, I mean, I know we're entangling a few storylines here, but I also have really enjoyed what's happened here. Cody slapping The Rock made perfect sense. He told The Rock he was going to hit him back, and he did. That ended the show with The Rock kind of smiling there. And it was well-deserved. And you're right. The Roman Reigns, every single time The Rock comes out or speaks, Roman doesn't look at him. He just feels uneasy. There's this tension. It's like he doesn't fully trust him. Paul Heyman has done the same thing. The Rock putting up that L instead of the 1. Paul Heyman has noticed. There's a lot of little things happening here.
And did you hear, I don't know, I heard that after the cameras stopped rolling, Seth took the microphone back, and apparently there were some real handbags between them. I don't know how true that is, but apparently so.
I haven't heard. No. Huh. I'll have to go back and listen to that. So if that's true, then I mean, maybe there's some real life tension going on there. But I mean, I'm with you. I have really, really enjoyed this. And Rock has one more scheduled SmackDown until I would imagine until WrestleMania Night 1. So I'm interested to see what they do next week.
Yeah, no, it's been brilliant. It really has. And the way everything is intertwined, it's because I think we're, with the production, the way it's evolving and it's, changed, but it's changed quite slowly. I was thinking to myself the other day, like it wasn't so long ago that it was sort of segment by segment, person by person, and they never used to meet. So, like you never saw people interacting between stories, whereas now you do, even like seeing them on the ramp together. Like in the olden days, they just ignored each other, like as if they couldn't see each other. So things like that as well, sort of, I'm probably under the Triple H era. Things like that have really made a difference to the whole overall storytelling, which makes Raw and SmackDown so much more enjoyable, I think, because it doesn't feel just like lots of little segments. It feels like a whole story to me now.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's like an entangling of the stories between, and even when they cut to an announcer who's backstage, there's not just this hard cut as if the announcer didn't see what just happened. They comment quickly on it before transitioning. And also seeing the wrestlers arrive at the arena has been a new nice touch of seeing them with their roller bags, like as if they were coming right out of the airport or whatever, not in their full gear, not in their full makeup in the women's case. That kind of stuff has really, to me, small, simple, but effective is really the way that Triple H has run things here, is not drastic changes, which is smart, just kind of these iterative, progressive, small things that all add up to I think, a goal of more of an immersive sports simulation experience. That to me has been what Triple H has gone for, and I think it's been very effective.
Yeah, no, definitely. And the fact that they actually acknowledge other worlds now, like the other night when they acknowledged Sting's last match, and you just think, God, then to Vince, that would never happen. You weren't even allowed to say where someone had been if they'd been away for a few months, so yeah, good times.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. We've only got a little bit of time left, but I'll leave the floor to you. Any little things, any stories that you wanted to comment on, or anything at all?
I guess the booing thing again, which is another Rhea thing, but I have to say, I think if you pay your money, you're entitled to have an opinion like that. If you want to boo, I mean, as long as you're not sort of committing a hate crime or being racist or homophobic or anything like that, you can boo as much as you like. It's like a football match, you get to sing and cheer and do whatever.
And of course, guys, she's referring to Rhea Ripley's criticism of fans booing Maxine Dupree at a house show. Yes.
Yeah.
But there was, as I mentioned, that one of the guys did say something a little disparagingly, that she sucks blank, right? We all know what that is.
Yeah.
And so like that, to me, I mean, you got families, use your head. I mean, doesn't give you a ticket to a wrestling show, doesn't give you a ticket to say and do anything. Sometimes people feel a little bit more entitled than they should. But if you're going to boo and cheer, we're told to boo and cheer. Like, I mean, there are dozens of examples of times when the fans decided to boo instead of cheer, or cheer instead of boo. And isn't that what we're told to do? And are these feelings hurt? Are these people's feelings hurt? I mean, I'm sure Maxine didn't like being booed, but they're reacting to her. I mean, I just thought it was a really bad take by Rhea saying, "Be better people." Are you kidding? Like, I like Rhea, you do too, but man, I was very off put by that comment, as if we're not being good little fans. We're paying our money to be there and tell you how we feel respectfully, booing or cheering. Not obscenities, Not, like you said, stuff that's just off color, that's just bad taste, right? Like that kind of stuff I don't agree with. But if you're booing and cheering, I mean, what are we supposed to do? So yeah,
well,
I'm with you.
Yeah, do they want to go back to the Thunderdome where we didn't have anything? You know, what would they rather have? But yeah, that was it really.
Right. Well, they must have loved that on some degree because they could control the booing and the cheering. Like, I mean, there wasn't a button for us to press at home. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, well, Amanda, thank you so much for coming on. I mean, we'll definitely have to get together before WrestleMania again because I think things are going to ramp up even further as we get closer to that April 6th date. So we'll definitely schedule some time between now and then because there's going to be so much more. I'm going to be very curious on what your opinions are. So thank you so much for coming on. Yeah.
Thanks, Matt. I'd love that. And we'll speak soon. Thank you.
Absolutely. Have a good night.
Cheers. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.